Hey, welcome to Mad Dog's After Show with Mad Dog and Cole Farrell.
Post-tech inspection is only for winners.
I decided to fly through the air and live in the sunlight and enjoy life as much as I could, and that's just what I'm doing.
Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm. Wait.
Man, thank you so much to our boy Evil. May he rest in peace for those inspiring words. Living in the sun and flying through the air. We should all be a little more living in the sun. Don't you agree?
I agree. And of course, we got to thank our first responders and our troops that make this all possible. Let us record this podcast and let us go have fun on the weekends.
Absolutely. Thank you. Much respect. And of course, our partners. We are so glad to have the support of Kicker Performance Audio, kicker.com for all your automotive, motorcycle, marine, off-road, on-road, and personal audio needs. Look them up, kicker.com. And of course, Bomber Floating Eyewear at bombereyewear.com. Man, I love my Bomber eyewear. And, today I was doing a little install on some subwoofers, some Kicker subwoofers. Yeah, in my boat. And I had to trim some acrylic with my no-name brand rotary tool. And, dude, without hesitation, grabbed my old Tiger bombs and threw them on. And, I can tell you with the dark smoke, OSHA-approved safety lens, I did not have a concern of getting hot acrylic in my eyes. So that was pretty cool. Look them up. Tons of styles, tons of options. Bomber Floating Eyewear. Oh, yeah, they float at bombereyewear.com. Of course, the Premix podcast, our man Cole doing his stuff out in the desert, bringing all kinds of media to you and coverage. Man, if you get out in the desert, you need to get some shots of your rig. Look him up on Instagram at the Premix podcast. Send him a message. He'll get you hooked up. And of course, our YouTube stuff would not be possible without Kelsey Morrell Film. I am thankful for all that she's doing and getting done for us. I believe we're 5 or 6 episodes up now. So go to YouTube if you want to see what our ugly faces look like while we're doing this. Check it out. It's fun. Check out my studio. Check out the hotel rooms. Check out Cole's desert scene. I want to give a special shout out to my man Cole, the Incredibles Farrell, for launching our after show. That is capital AFTR, as in along for the ride. It's called the After Show. Check it out. There'll be tons of shorts coming up, maybe even some bloopers, and just good times. It definitely worth a listen. It's a good short, make you laugh, make you go, whatever. Check it out.
It might even make you mad down the road.
Yeah, it's possible too. It's possible, I want to kick this one off with another segment from that recording I did when my pop was storytelling. And this one's a little longer than the last one, but it's definitely worth a listen. I think you'll get a big laugh out of it. And, they don't call them the Rev for nothing. So I am going to throw it over to my media player, and we'll get this party started with some reflection from the Rev.
One day, and he says, I found you a new car. I said, a new car or another car? He said, not new. And my dad was into Hudsons. He was driving a 50 Hudson at that time. When he came home, he said, I got to get you out of that car. You're going to end up rear-ending somebody. So he came home. He said, I found this 1947 Hudson, had a brand new paint job on it, new seat covers. And he said, and they'll give you $150 trade for your car. And I think they wanted $700 for the car. So they looked at it. Well, it was a bright maroon, real shiny. It was a 4-door. And anyhow, he talked me into buying it.
But it was
the Super 6.
yeah, but it opened
The
at the
doors
back.
had suicide doors. So it was last year they made the suicide door.
What
Wow.
model? What model was it?
Super 6.
Super 6?
And so anyhow, he bought that. Well, of course, it was quiet, and of course my Ford had Smitty muffler on it, So anyhow, my dad used to tell people, yeah, I heard this noise out in the yard, and I went out there, and Gene has the car jacked up, and he's underneath it pounding on something. And so he asked me, he said, what are you doing? I says, I'm making this car have a little noise. And he said, you're what? And I said, yeah, and I had a big long spike and I was poking holes in the muffler.
That's awesome.
So, but I went to school in El Monte from San Fernando, and I drive my car from there down there. Well, I ran onto a guy that some of the guys used to hang over at his automotive shop there. And so anyhow, we got to talking. Well, I couldn't afford to put another muffler on it, And he said, well, I don't know, forget the price, but it was cheap, I'll cut that muffler off that's going. Said, I'll cut that out and I'll put you in a piece of 4-inch diesel pipe in there. He said, then you have all the noise you want. So, yeah, he did, man. It was noisy. I mean, you could hear me coming from 3 blocks away. First time I drove home with it like that, we lived on a gravel road, and my dad was out at the chicken. We had a chicken ranch, and he was out, and he said he heard this thing coming. It sounded like a rocket. And he looked out, and he said, here was that red Volvo or a red Hudson coming down the road with just a stream of dust shooting up behind it. He said it sounded like a truck. So I pulled in, and he met me. He says, what in the world did you do? I never got a ticket for that.
Really?
Yeah.
So yeah, a little background from the infamous Rev. That was his second car. That was a 47 Hudson.
Wise words from the Rev. Wise words.
Yeah, it's got to sound right, It's what it's all about, right?
Dude, I mean, that's just every teenage guy story right there about, I need my car to be louder.
Right? That's exactly it. That's exactly it. So, yeah, my pops, man, I can't wait to get him on here. We will have him on here as a guest here, hopefully in the next month.
Oh, wow.
I know,
that would be exciting.
Yeah, I know. In one of our previous goes, I was hoping to get him on sometime in January, but that just didn't work out with schedules and stuff like that. So I'm also working on a couple of guests upcoming that are going to be pretty exciting. So, man, get ready, because some of it's going to be pretty haywire, but always a good time. Just get ready to come along for the ride, man.
I know. I wish I could spoil it for the people at home, but it's worth the wait. I promise.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, man. So as you know, I'm home, as you can tell by the studio if you're watching this on YouTube, but I am actually home. I've done my first 6 weeks of arena cross. That's 6 cities in 6 weeks. Man, been some great racing. The new format is working out pretty well, I think. Dude, we were in Denver last weekend, and it was decent weather for all things considered. Got there Wednesday. It was not bad, 40s, but not bad and sunny. Thursday it was sunny, but it was only in the high 30s with like 30-mile-an-hour north winds. It was just anytime you went outside, it was just brutal. Of course, for me, Thursday's a setup day, and then Friday is race day. Give a shout out to my favorite stop there in Denver when I'm in Denver at the races, and that is Sugar Rush Donuts. Man, if you're in Denver, check out Sugar Rush Donuts. They make some pretty good donuts. So,
A little bit of
yeah.
sweetness to look forward to on those long flights.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm in the habit of taking a dozen donuts to the track team. So
I'm sure it's appreciated.
it really is. They really look forward to it. And these ones were actually still warm when I got them there. So it was kind of cool. Yeah, man. And then race day went down, it was, I don't feel like the track was quite as challenging as Reno was. And a big part of Reno, I think, was just the length of the whoops, and then that kink on the whole shot. That 180 kink was pretty vicious. They still had a pretty tight 180, and there's a couple of people hitting the ground every start pretty much, but man, it was made for exciting racing. Holy cow. It was, Kyle Peters had just kicked ass in the first pro main. There's no other way to describe it. I mean, he got out there and just rode his race. The kid is just so smooth. I should try and get him on here sometime. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, especially after a race win when
Yeah.
spirits are high. But
Yeah,
it seems
for
like he's
sure.
collecting them pretty often. So
Yeah, he's pretty Mr. Consistent, I would say. And what's funny is even like in Pro Main 2 when he started at the back, last bike to get, in the grid, so to speak, man, he still, found his way up to second. So, and the leader was one of the real fast guys that had some troubles in the first main, I believe. So he was probably undoubtedly the fastest guy on the front row. Bitterman got off to a pretty good start and was eating people up, and Peters was just mowing people, just calculated, just picking them off one at a time, picking his spot. And he got up with Bitterman, and there was, I don't know, probably 3 laps of just outstanding racing. And it's cool because, that's a points leader in second place from last year. So they were, they were duking it out. And I think Bitterman, I think Peters pushed him into a little bit of a mistake and got the jump on him. They stayed real close and both started eating up the lead. And, just couldn't, they just ran out of time coming through the pack. It was, it was just a little too much lead. But man, it was some exciting racing watching those boys go at it. And, that I like both those guys. I love both those guys. They're both great personalities and great dudes, and their teams are great people. Their bike chiefs are great people, and I know Bitterman really was hoping to chase down and get that win because he did not qualify well. Unlike him, he had some issues. I believe it turned out to be like a throttle sensor or something like that issue. Um, and even in the first practice, man, the bike sounded like it was on the rev limiter all the time.
How weird, especially with all the EFI bikes now. You rarely hear about stuff like that. And then being at elevation, obviously, if it was a carved bike, you're going to have to face those issues. But EFI is so easy now. Yeah, you're going to be down on power being at Denver, but kind of interesting to hear him have a mechanical issue like that.
Yeah, really. And they, those guys have ECUs for, the high altitude maps, the low altitude maps. So really, and I believe I don't know for a fact, but I think there's a dip switch on the ECU that you can change 2 or 3 programs on. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Some manufacturers come that way. I think Kawasaki, they come out of the factory that way, but I assume with something like a Get ignition system, you could have right on the handlebars there and put it in turbo mode through the whoops if you needed.
Yeah, I'm sure that they have something like that, unless it's outlawed. I don't really know. But I know they were scratching their heads and pretty frustrated after the first 2 practices, and they got back on the bike though, and man, props to KB, because dude, he dug deep and just came out and really rode well. So he's starting to get in his swing. And of course, now we've done Loveland. Let me see what we do. Loveland, Prescott Valley, Guthrie 1, Oklahoma City 1, Guthrie OKC 2, Reno,
now
Denver. And then we've got the, if you will, mid-season break. And we go back to next weekend, not this coming, but the following weekend, I'll be in Hobbs, New Mexico. Nice place to be from. It's not that bad. It's a nice little town. People are super friendly. They always pack the house there. Matter of fact, I know they had a kicker monster truck nationals in Hobbs last weekend while we were in Denver.
Oh, sweet.
And yeah, sold out both nights. So just packed the place, which is really cool. Then from Hobbs, it's Amarillo. After Amarillo, I believe, is Tulsa.
Let's take a look here. Producers pulling up the old schedule here.
Hitting the iPad. Yeah, I think it's Tulsa.
Here
Kentucky
we go.
Virginia,
Yep, Hobbs, Amarillo, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Salem, Virginia, followed by Little Rock, Arkansas, and the big finale in Lexington, Kentucky.
Yeah, so I'll do 5 of those. I'll do in the next 5 weekends.
Not bad.
Yeah, so after Kentucky, I will come home, get re-prepped, jump in the grinder, and head to Arizona Bike Week for the American Flat Track Super TT. I think Firebird Raceway, right? On the truck track.
Yep, and don't forget to invite Dusty Abbott. Make sure to put a bug in his ear, make him come out.
Yeah, you should send me a reminder, send me a calendar memo.
I will.
So
Part of my producer duty. I'll be your assistant.
You're the best. You are simply the best ever.
Can you write that on a piece of paper and send it to my wife? Because that would be helpful. Bust that thing out now and then.
Yeah, you know what? I sure would.
All right, great. I'll write you one as well.
Yeah, she won't believe you, but yeah.
That's fine.
She knows better after 26 years. So, but yeah, man, it's certainly excited for the American Flat Track season to get going. I honestly wish I was doing the season opener again in Daytona because it's just um, so crazy. Like I don't think they're opening at Volusia. I think it's a different track, but closer to Bike Week at Daytona Beach.
So not inside the Cathedral of Speed this year? Not doing the TT inside?
No,
Or is that later in the year possibly?
no, that's the opener. They don't do a TT in Florida, I don't think. I didn't catch one last year. It was, I think Volusia is a half mile. And that's where they opened the season last year, which was super cool venue. I wish I was going to Bike Week in Daytona this year. Unfortunately, between scheduling and all that, it just, you know, just didn't work out. So, and you know how that stuff goes.
Yeah, busy man. But looks like they're saying it's Daytona Bike Week at the International Speedway Short Track in Daytona Beach, Florida.
Yeah, right at the beach. So that should be pretty dang cool.
Man, I can't believe how fast it's already time for flat track again. I mean, I'm not complaining about it because that means my speedway is back. But
right,
seems like we were just talking about flat track, and it feels like Arena Cross just started, and now we're getting ready to flip flop again.
Yeah, and flat track, I don't think, as it stands right now, I don't think I'm going to make the big trips. Which Daytona, and of course I don't make the Northeast swing because that just doesn't make sense. There's still some possibilities out there. They wrapped the season in Springfield and it's still kind of up in the air, but it's not looking like I'll go. But speaking of Springfield, shout out to my buddy Jeremy over at Trailers Direct to Springfield. Dude, just want to say hi. Hope you enjoy the podcast and really appreciate all you do and all you did to help me out, bro. You and the team over there. So, yeah. Anyway, back to Denver. I was so lucky in Denver to have my buddy Mike from MB Customs 303, who's a local kicker dealer there, come work the kicker booth with me. He's a really cool dude and he does a lot of custom stuff. And just to kind of show off what he was capable of, he brought some of his custom boxes that were loaded with kicker 8-inch L7S subwoofers. Crazy stuff, man. He did this one box. It's a ported box. I think it had a couple of the 8s in it. It was all lasered or CNC'd out in the top with a lasered piece of colored acrylic with the Denver's Broncos colors in it and the Denver Broncos slogan. So, man, that was really cool. He had a really, really sweet one that was custom built for a customer of his for their, I think, Grand Cherokee SRT 8. And the view that you would get when you open the tailgate was the subwoofers in a bright red covered ported enclosure with the SRT logo in the middle of it in lasered out acrylic. And he had these super high tech LEDs in it that were fully programmable. So it actually lit up red, but it went like the logo went back and forth like Knight Rider, like Kit, you know?
That's badass.
But then their outer LEDs actually chased around the outside of the logo even brighter.
How did you handle that with all your ADD?
I just tried. I pointed away from me.
I was going to say, did you wear some bomber eyewear blinders or something?
I was definitely wearing my bomber eyewear boogie bombs in dark smoke because man, it's just crazy though. And the guy's an artist. I mean, the quality and dude, the fact that he wanted to be there, and he brought those boxes and had a special battery hookup so the LEDs would work, and it was really cool, man. And I hope if Mike listens to this, dude, man, props. Thank you so much for the support and all the help. He stuck around and helped me pack up, which saved me probably an hour. I mean, I literally got back to the hotel room Friday night at like 11:05, which is early for me.
Yeah, you probably didn't even know what to do.
No,
So much
like
time on your hands.
I sat and watched some TV and had a snack.
Is this Lauren? Put Lauren on the line.
Yeah, right. I was like, wow, I didn't know what to do. So, yeah, man, I had a good, clean flight out. Left on time, got in on time. So, thank you, Southwest. I was along for the ride, had no choice, but this time they hit it. And of course, when I flew out on Saturday morning, I flew the only flight I could get that got me in at a reasonable time to make the drive home. Actually had a connection with no plane change. So I got to spend basically 45 minutes on the ground in beautiful, unbelievable God's country. You guessed it, Fresno.
Never heard God and Fresno in the same sentence before. There's a reason there's memes about it and movies about it.
Right.
And as a Californian, I can say this. All right.
Right. It looks like a nice little airport, actually.
That's good.
We didn't even deplane. I mean, just hung out there and ate some snacks and
probably safest.
Listened to Long for the Ride. Yeah, man, up in the air, and boy, it was a bumpy ride to Vegas. Big storm going through, I think. And so got into Vegas, man, jumped in the car and dropped her in sport mode and hauled ass home through the desert, chased to the river, and yeah, it was overall a pretty good trip, pretty exciting. Nothing too crazy other than, those custom boxes that Mike built from MB3 Customs 303 were pretty sick. And, the racing, the Pro Main 2 was just, it was awesome. I mean, you get it. You know what it's like. You watch somebody, they're fast, but they got their work cut out for them. And so the anticipation and man, just watching them pick their lines and that was probably by far the most exciting part of the whole night, and it brought back it brought back memories from Reno the weekend before when KP was again started dead last and chased him down. And of course in Reno, man, what a finish. Talk about nuts. He couldn't just find the right spot. I think he got chopped a couple times and was just trying to be smart. And so finally, if you remember, I told you in Reno, the big loop at the end of the stadium that went around to the finish jump was like 2 foot deep sand, with a couple of humps in it. And sure enough, man, Peters was right on him into the sand. He just took a little bit of a different line. And man, of course, he's like 101 pounds, and so he probably just floated through the sand. But it was sure exciting to watch that last lap, last corner pass. And I thought we were going to get that again in Denver, but the laps just wound down. And I think, Peters and Bitterman had a couple of minor contacts, So I think that slowed them both down a little bit, gave the leader just a little bit more breathing room. Um, but, as he said, he still made points, still made good points, and he's looking at the big picture. So, I'm looking forward to getting back to seeing those boys. Um, dude, it's just trying to get a bunch of stuff done while I'm home. I've got a paint project I got to do. I got thanks to Kicker Marine Audio, I have a marine audio project. And man, I am so grateful for their support. Um, I've spent a lot of time in the boat today, getting the subwoofers in. I built that box quite a while ago, and I've been so busy I haven't had time to get it wired or get it in. So got that done today, and was able to lay out my plan of attack to move forward with it and get things wrapped up here. Hopefully before it's lake season. So
They'll be here before you know it.
yeah, right now the weather's getting better, but the water the other day was 52, so still not swim worthy.
Not enough degrees quite yet, but it'll certainly get there.
Yeah, correct. So, and dude, yeah, I mean, basically trouble free. Other than I didn't have any issues at all. Again, I did get bumped in the rental car department. I put in for a compact, and they consider that a Kia Soul or similar, and I ended up with Hyundai Sinatra or something like that.
A Hyundai Frank Sinatra.
Yeah. And it was silver. And it was comfort. It had heated seats, which you know what? I'm in for that. That was cool.
Did it get you more respect than the Denver Edition Challenger?
I don't know, because it's so like inconspicuous, like mom car,
Kind of what you want in a big city, though. You want to fly under the radar.
Yeah, true. It did have sport mode, which it really hung the shift. So I tested that severely, but it didn't have any sport shifters. So I'm not sure I really understand when you have push button shifter on the center console, why do you have a sport mode?
I don't know. My wife's car has it, and she does have the Tiptronic shifters, and it makes a difference. There was one time we were going up a big San Clemente incline, and we had a lot of beef in the back seat with Special Kyle sitting back there, and I put her in sport mode, and that got us to freeway merging speeds. So I'm thankful for that sport mode in that moment.
Well, yeah, this one didn't have the paddle shifters, no gear shift, no nothing. You just like push the D button and click the control up one, the little lever in the center console, and it goes to sport. And it's like, I don't understand, like it, I just don't get it. Like, you got to have some kind of manual control if you're going to have sport mode.
Yeah, because otherwise it's just going to hang the shifts. And what's the point of that?
Yeah. And that's all it did, and it's just like, it didn't have any problem hitting the rev limiter. So there's that. But, geez Louise, even Vikings, Chinese made Volvo piece of crap, has sport mode and it's manual shift, so it's and it makes a huge difference. And there's a lot of passing to be done on 95 South coming out of Vegas. So,
coming over those blind crests and trying to get home.
Yep. Just it's sure-footed, but sport mode definitely helps for sure. It's always enjoy what I call the twisties. And I'm not going to say where they are because I don't want anybody to hear and park their radar gun there. But I usually have a cruise set about 72 or 73. And when I'm by myself is the only opportunity I get to not touch the brake through the twisties.
Hey, jumps for show, corners for dough, right? So if you
Yep.
can hang that car sideways through the twisties, more power to you.
Yeah, and that one's pretty, it's on 20s, so like it's pretty sure-footed. I don't think it's got that uh DTSC or something. So in theory you can't roll it over.
Where it does the calculations and locks up each caliper depending on which way the car wants to flip.
Yeah, it's like full active. So, and even in sport mode, unless you turn that off, it's still active. So I found that out in the snow, right before we moved down out of the cold country. So, yeah, man. Other than that, dude, just trying to live some of that lake life and soak it up while I'm home, spend some time. With my wife. My daughter's here visiting, and so we're spending some time together. And dude, it's just good times. Of course, yesterday, and I don't know when we'll get this out, but yesterday was February 14th, which for most people was when they express their love and, through Valentine's and all that. And we just called it Taco Tuesday. And Viking made these awesome homemade tacos that she makes. So legit and so real. Dude, it's like, who would have guessed an Irish Viking could make tacos?
I mean, she had a trained, no, not taking anything away from her, but she had a trained chef standing right next to her. So that doesn't hurt.
I actually didn't teach her that. My mom did.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So, and kudos to my mom. And you heard her chime in on that little clip from my dad. And when I get on, she gets a little feisty about some of his noisy exhausts when we get to the next clip on his third car or fourth car. So yeah, there's unfortunately, I only got 8 minutes, so I got to tease you out like a minute and a half at a time. But they're all good stories, and he's just unbelievably good guy. I can't wait to get him on here. I'm looking forward to it, and we got some other super cool guests lining up to come on. So, gonna be a good time. Cole, what do you got for the stats as far as the wrap up of King of the Hammers? And go ahead, bash the unicorn.
Well, I'll start with the first question. King of the Hammers was a giant, big success and great streaming for the third week. Lots of good racing. I was peeled to the streaming the entire day, and my dad was texting me throughout the day as well, so that kept it exciting. It was like having my own live feed. I did not have the results ready, and I honestly don't know a lot of those rock guys, but congrats if you finished, from here head along for the ride. And the unicorn had a lot of issues this weekend, and it's a brand new car, and I have to applaud Robbie Gordon for bringing it out there, not knowing what it was going to do on the world stage and having to get it airlifted out in front of the entire Hammertown. So that car's only going to get better, but it's got some growing pains to go through.
Yeah, for sure. And that was just as a sidebar. And, I'm a fan, but I'm not a fangirl. That was a production car. So, to take a stock production car out and attempt to race it at Hammers, I mean, Yeah, it's it was pretty ballsy, I would say. But Robbie is not known for being passive, right?
No, I mean he, like I said, he did his classic signature and put it all on the line and out in front of everybody else. So if that car had the audio in it, we know that would be flawless.
Right.
But yeah, like you said, it's a stock car, and I think the only thing they changed was the ECU and ran it on E85. Other than that, put gas in it and sent it.
Yeah, which is, that's I mean, I would never take, except for maybe the KRX 1000. I don't think I would take a fully stock vehicle, put a tune in it, and make a run at hammers.
No, and I mean, I would probably do the desert loop stuff for sure, but when you're getting to the actual hammers part of it, where it's even a miracle that anything makes it through there, yeah, a bone stock vehicle is not the vehicle of choice.
Yeah, for sure. And to his credit, apparently he jumped in the Gonzalez brothers pre-runner.
I saw I think of the Gomez brothers.
Gomez brothers.
And they said, if we don't break
yes.
it in pre-running, you can go and take it out. So, and that's what he did.
Yeah, started dead last. I don't know how many cars started that race, but dead last. And Robbie Gordon style finished in the top 10, I believe ninth. So,
and there's a great video on John Tuba's YouTube channel, YouTuba, it's called, and it's the in-car footage from right over his left shoulder. So you can see him playing with switches and messing with the tracker the whole time. And I watched that whole video. It's like 3 hours long, and it's go check it out.
Yeah, cool. And shout out, Tuba does a great job of bringing all that stuff. And, I'm also grateful. I want to give a shout out to Fish because, dude, his coverage was, again, bar none, and I would love to get him on here sometime because he's so committed to what he does. Amazing, really amazing.
Smooth talker, and like we said, he can look at the same data we're looking at, and he can actually do the brain calculations and figure out what the hell's going on. It's not just dots on a map.
Yeah, correct. So yeah, pretty awesome. So with that, Cole, what else you got?
Actually, a lot. I went from not having like a damn thing to do for a month to where now I'm pretty booked up for a while. So this weekend is race weekend for District 38 Desert Racing. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it, but pulled some strings, pulled some favors. So if Jake's listening to this right now, he's probably in the garage putting the new clutch in, which came in today, February 15th. And we're going racing this weekend. And the weekend after, on Saturday, is the /X Duel in the Desert Mojave Off-Road Race. So I'll be out there taking photos and being a menace. The following day, I'm going to be at NASCAR at Fontana Raceway in Fontana, California. And then after that, I have a gig announcing the Sand Drags out at Dome Valley Raceway. So the next 3 weeks are going to be busy. And then there's something the 4th and 5th week. I haven't even thought that far, but I know there's something on the calendar. So
awesome.
Now I'm going along for the ride. Yeah.
Yeah. And dude, that, I can't wait to hear some of this stuff. And that's going to be so much fun. I'm really stoked for you. And that whole thing, I think the Sand Drags is, called Reset the Record or something.
Yep.
Like
yeah,
that.
You nailed it. Record Reset. They're calling
Record Reset. Okay. Yeah. And I think our boy Marcus Pomeroy is kind of heading that up.
He sure is.
Super rad dude and super intelligent of him and the Cuskinator to contact you about getting on the mic. Dude, it'd be so nice to hear your report from there. And man, that's somewhere that you belong. And I'm thankful I put you in that awkward spot all those years ago, but I'm also grateful I put you in that awkward spot all those years ago because it really is a cool thing. And if you didn't know, or you haven't listened to episode 1, 2, 3, or 5, I think we covered a lot of that in those episodes. Cole is a fantastic MC and announcer. And if you happen to need someone, you can hit him up at the Premix Podcast on Instagram. Drop him a message, say I need somebody, and get it negotiated. Dude
if you're paying, I'm saying, how about that?
Yeah, dude is butter on the mic, you know, and so it's that's really cool. I'm really excited for that. I'm excited that you're getting back in the desert, back behind the lens.
Yeah, it's been way too long. Yeah, we just had too much life going on lately, so I'm excited to be taking photos again.
Yeah, what's the preview on that race? What was it again?
So that one is called the /X Duel in the Desert.
Okay.
And kind of a couple things going on with that name. /X is the big bar and grill out there, and it's kind of a central meeting point for Barstow. And then it's a play on words. It's duel in the desert, but it's also a dual loop format. So you're going to run north, depending on your class, you'll do a north or south loop in the morning, take a 2-hour break, and then you do the other loop in the afternoon. So it's going to be about 200 miles of racing. So
interesting format.
Yeah. So as far as spectating goes, it's horrible because you can't see everything all at once, because you're going to have to pick and choose which class you want to see at which time. Now, if you're a racer, I'd be way stoked on that, because you go, okay, well, I didn't have such good luck on this loop, but guess what? We're resetting here in the afternoon. We're going to re-rack them, and I know what the hell's going on over there. So yeah. Really, really interesting format for sure.
Awesome. And then this weekend is your D38 stuff.
D38. Yep.
As the bike chief, getting back on that horse.
So they're calling it the Groundhog 100, but the name's misleading because it's actually 120 miles. So we're going to do a 40-mile loop 3 times. So we're going to be pitting twice. Yep.
Very cool. And where's it at?
That'll be at Plaster City East.
Okay.
Yep,
cool.
right off the 8. So yeah, I know for a fact that the bike will not make it 80 miles on a IMS tank of fuel. So at least I'll be busy, but yeah, we're going to have 2 very good pits.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you got your pit pretty dialed in at the last race. And, you know, if it wasn't for a 500-year-old severely abused clutch, you probably would have finished very well. And so let that be a lesson. Clutch plates are cheap. Might be worth changing, you know. Those arena cross guys change. I've seen them change them between practice and the main.
Oh yeah, and they should. They rust those things.
Oh yeah. So, you know, yeah, definitely worth having an extra clutch in the box. Wouldn't have helped you there, but being stranded out in the dunes. But you never know, you know, if you're starting to have clutch slip, dude, you could change a clutch at a pit stop and still not be out of the race. So it sounds like Mr. Young has some talent and has some speed. So,
yep.
You know.
Yep. And his fitness is very good as well. I think if anything, it'll be harder to tell him to keep it mellow the first loop to save up for the last 80 miles, but he knows what he's doing. He's on the bike. I'm not. So.
Right. And, you know, thing is, you could always sprint the first 40, rest for 40, and then sprint 40.
Yeah, that maybe be able to stay out of the dust.
Yeah, you know, it's, I mean, riding in the dust adds that much more stress and difficulty to you that, you know, it may be energizing to be out of the dust.
Yeah, just as long as you don't get complacent and say, "Well, I'm leaning this thing," and shut the throttle off. But yeah racing in the dust certainly adds an element of strain on your eyes because you're picking lines. It certainly adds a bit of fatigue, and have a dry mouth as well, sucking in dust all afternoon.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And it yeah, you don't want to be polishing the trophy on the second lap if you're in the lead, because that's when something will go wrong. So it's great that Mr. Young listens to this podcast, because he's getting all these little tidbits that you might not share with him at the track or at practice. So
Yeah, and then it's not even that I have so much knowledge. It's just that, like I said, he's the one on the bike, right? So if he says, "Hey, the bomb run was rougher, but it felt better on the right side," I'm not going to sit there and be T-ball dad and go, "No, you go left. That looks smoother." I'm like, "No, dude, I've been the guy on the bike, and the last thing I want on race day is someone chirping in my ear."
yeah, yeah. Although you do have a responsibility as the bike chief to remind him to preserve the bike, especially on the first lap.
Yeah, don't go rusting this clutch. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
Took a lot of that team budget we don't have.
And they are looking for sponsors, and you can actually DM them through Instagram at the Premix Podcast if you want to help them out.
Yeah, or you can also hit us up. Young133 is Jake's Instagram handle, and I'm sure any little bit would help because he's a working man like the rest of us.
Yeah. If you're out there and you want to help out someone, I would recommend you do it. Speaking of that, it's crazy. I haven't mentioned this because I wasn't sure how I felt about it to begin with, but Arena Cross, in our new format, the Kicker AMA Arena Cross Championships, the new format, they do they've built quite an online following, and through their website you can actually go and vote for the 1v1 race. And and I think it was Reno where they had two brothers race against each other. It's super cool that any fan anywhere in the world can go and vote for the 1v1. And then you actually have the option. You get one vote for free. If you want to vote more than once, then you got to spend a little money. But the other really cool thing they have is they have an option to motivate your favorite rider financially. So you can actually go and sponsor, if you will, your favorite rider, help them out with some fundage, some race funds right off of the website. And I think that's a really cool thing. I think it's a great support thing for the riders. The 1v1 has turned quite big. Like, they have the top three people race. And so it's just three, and they race basically a green, white checker. And the way it works, they get first place gets 80% of the pot. Second place gets 20%. Third place gets a trip home. Gets roost as a nice parting gift. Last weekend, I believe first place 80% was $2,000.
Wow. Hey, nice.
Yeah.
That's some good gas money.
We've seen some up in the way up $3,000-$4,000. So it's really catching on. At first, I wasn't sure how I felt about it. But now that they've added the motivate section and they've gone from two riders, still called 1v1, but they're actually bringing the top three riders in.
Yeah, so it's 1v1v1.
Yeah. So,
that is cool. Yeah. And I mean, if you're local construction company or something and you're going to go watch the race and you throw your guy a couple bucks, that's pretty, and now you got some skin in the game,
Yeah, for sure. And, I mean, there's no promise of getting mentioned or anything else, but but you can be part of whatever they're doing, and just help them, you know. And as someone who through, Mad Dog Media Marketing have in the past sponsored racers, including yourself.
Yes, sir.
Um, I've let the Moss out to help out Kyle Bitterman a couple times, and this year I'm kind of was sitting on things and seeing how things go. But man, it makes you feel good, right? All
For
in all,
sure.
it makes you feel good and it helps grow the sport. And really, anything that we can do positive to put positive images on on motorsports in general is just good for all of us, right?
Yeah, and it's what's tough about motorsports is that they're constantly wearing a helmet. So if you're coming into this with no prior knowledge, they just seem like pawns in a game. But oh no, like you go walk around the pits and you go to the autograph site, they're real people, man. They're especially when they're your age and you realize, oh, this is just somebody who's trying to live the dream. It's
Yep.
not just a traveling circus.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's not all-star wrestling, or WWE or whatever it's called. This is real stuff, real guys putting it on the line. And most of these guys have a Monday to Friday, or in the case this year, Monday to Thursday or Monday to Wednesday or whatever. But yeah, it's really cool. If you get the opportunity, check it out at I believe it's arenacrossusa.com. And that is the website for the AMA Arena Cross Championships presented by Kicker Performance Audio. And with that, you got anything else?
Just ready to go racing. Very excited,
Yeah,
especially
dude.
because I didn't think I was going to. Now I am. This is now I got to get my head in the game.
Yeah. Breathe, Cole. Breathe.
I'm having a little trouble right now with some allergies, but other than that, we'll be okay.
Yeah, it's all good, brother. We want to be sure and thank Kicker Performance Audio at kicker.com for all your 12-volt audio needs and the current 2023 manufacturer of the year for power sports and motorcycles, Kicker Performance Audio, kicker.com. Bomber Floating Eyewear at bombereyewear.com. Man, Tommy hit it on the head. These things are tough. These things are comfortable. They're great. You can get them in incredible amount of different styles, different lenses, everything from a clear smoke to a dark smoke to amber to mirror blue, mirror green, mirror pink. Vikings got a pair of the mirror blue aviator style called the Strange. Those do not float, but pretty much everything else does, and which is a party bonus if you live life on the river, as I do, when I'm not in hotels. So Bomber Floating Eyewear, bombereyewear.com. Of course, the Premix Podcast on Instagram at the Premix Podcast. Our man Cole hitting you up with all your desert racing media needs. Hit him up if you need something. He is going out to the /X Duel in the Desert next weekend.
Nailed it. That memory.
Yeah, that was a challenge. Yeah, he's going out there. If you're going to be racing that race and you want some photos, man, drop him a message on Instagram at the Premix Podcast. Of course, Kelsey Morrell Film. Find her on Instagram at Kelsey Morrell Film. If you need TV commercials, video editing, anything like that, hit her up. Get a price, sign her up. She does all our YouTube stuff. Forever grateful. and that is on Instagram at Kelsey Morel Film. You know what, man? I think that's it.
Works for me.
Mad Dog out.